Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of My Tummy Hurts. I'm your host, Shannon Chan Kent. And today I have one of my girls here, Sarah Goodwill. Hi, Sarah. Thank you for being here.
Pleasure.
So, Sarah has been a little bit of a guiding light, a lighthouse. Uh, I would say I was going to say like my encyclopedia, my guidebook in the last like 3 years. But you've also been in my life for, or at least in my orbit for how many years?
Oh man, like 20?
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. So Sarah and I, we went to like rivalry high schools. Would you
Yes.
say?
Yeah, they're totally the rival high schools. Yeah.
And we had like mutual friends. And Sarah also went to, Sarah's an actress, a brilliant actress as well. And we both went to UBC, although you studied theater. How did you like the theater program?
Oh, that's a whole other
Oh,
podcast.
yeah.
So maybe we'll tie it into my journey. I don't know.
Okay. I was going to say the trauma from theater school.
No, it was, it's like anything that I've done in my life. It's sort of like it had to be like it was a really important stepping stone in evolution in my life. And it totally crashed my world and caused me to another ego death that I've gone through and have to kind of rebuild my identity through that and after
Yeah.
that. Mhm.
Yeah. Well, we can tie that in somehow, somewhere through this conversation. I'm so excited to have you. Thank you so much. I'm
So
like, I just want to like pick your brain. Um, so where should we start? Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from? Um,
yeah, I grew up in Vancouver. My
mhm.
family's from Montreal. So I definitely feel like a home base vibe on the east, even though I was born in Toronto, but I moved to Vancouver when I was very young. So
Okay.
I'm a West Coast girl, but yeah, I never really felt that belonging on the West Coast or
Hmm.
many places. I guess I'm still searching. But yeah, my background is in acting, writing, and I would say I'm a creative storyteller.
Mhm.
I've used all different sort of forms of um, storytelling performance, and that's my real passion is being able to like connect through our shared realities, through our differences, and yeah, just be able to tell stories. I love visual means, but I've always written, and yeah, I'm a writer in my heart. So yeah, that's a little
Amazing.
bit about me. And
Amazing.
yeah, my last era of the I guess 5 years, it's been on this healing journey. Though I hate that cliche term sort of because it's so overused. I wish we can maybe come
uh,
up with another word or
Another term.
yeah.
Yeah, I know. I'm always like, and I refrain from like using like chronic illness too, because like, but I think I looked up like the definition for chronic illness and it was like something that lasts like over a few weeks or like something silly. I was like,
Yeah, I wish.
but yeah, I wish. So yeah, why don't if you can, if you I mean if you want to, this podcast is about, healing journeys, people who have been through the ringer, who are currently still going through it or have come out the other side. But I think your story is so unique and inspiring. And yeah, can you walk us through the first time you started feeling? I know you're a very sensitive and intuitive person, and
Mhm.
maybe you felt like this your whole life, but can you walk us through a time where you started feeling, if any, if you did, strange symptoms that like
Yeah,
weren't part of your normal day life?
yeah. So yes, I've always been a sensitive, intuitive being since I was a child, but I absolutely had, great physical health until I would say my late teenage years
Yeah.
was when things started to get kind of like wonky.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and of course, at that point, it was like not the reality. I wasn't in this awareness of like something's going on with me. It was just sort of like you're a teenager and you're like, let's just deal with this and move on, let's
Yeah.
just like brush it down. And so I think when I look back now, I have like a very clear view, in retrospect, that it was really like there was one sort of like breaking point in my physical being, which was a car accident that I was in with a boyfriend who was driving drunk. And
Mm.
after that accident, I think it's not that that accident caused this at all, but it created fragmentation, which is what I've come to understand a lot about how pathogens and how illness gets into our physical self, but also nothing is just physical from what I've also come to realize. So how it
Yeah.
gets into our energetic being, our emotional being, all of that. So yeah, there was a car accident, and then after that, um, I wanted to reference. So there's a book called The Invisible Kingdom by
Mm-hmm.
Megan Burke. She's Irish, and it's one of like the most kind of poignant, um, well articulated books about chronic illness.
Mm.
And right at the beginning, she says, like, she references Hemingway, and she says that she got sick, like Hemingway describes going broke, gradually and then suddenly. And
Mm.
it's exactly like that. Like, it's gradual, and then it's just like, it's still so sudden and shocking.
Yeah.
So the gradual part was in my late teenage years, and yeah, it started with infections, like different sort of urogenital, like UTIs and like
Mm.
chronic infections like that,
Mm-hmm.
and then like the digestive stuff started, but it was also like, what I also didn't understand back then was that there were so many things going on emotionally that I had such crazy amounts of anxiety, and basically what I didn't realize again was that I was participating in these relationships, in this pattern from my childhood chaos that then I was, basically in these really draining relationships that we know, with certain patterns of abuse, if you want to call it, you get
Mm-hmm.
stuck in fight or flight, you get like locked in a cortisol response. And so there was so many things happening simultaneously. Um, and when I look back now, it's like I'm actually in awe that my body was so strong for so long, through so much. Like, when it hit me really bad, towards 2019, 2020, I was like, how is this happening to me? Like, I was always a healthy person,
Yeah.
but it was like I was living a double life because I had learned to manage my symptoms in such a like hidden way, like a secret way. And it was like it becomes normal, just like those relationships become normal. Like,
Mm.
brain creates it creates like a story, or it creates like a way to keep you safe in what's happening. So anyway, I
Wow.
guess that's off on a tangent again, but it's like,
No.
yeah, it's complicated when you say like when did the symptoms start, but definitely about 19 years old, 20, the car accident I was in at 16. By like 19, 20, it was starting to go downhill.
Mm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. And then after the car accident, was it just like infection after infection, or you were just noticing more of your symptoms getting louder, or was it different things that you hadn't experienced before?
Yeah, so the car accident happened,
Yeah.
and we were like, it was quite a severe car accident where we
Okay.
like went to the side of a wall, like a brick downtown, ran a red, dodged another car, like went
Oh
into
my
the
God.
side of Sport Mart that used to be on Alberni and Thurlow. And I just remember like I was very, very small then as a
Yeah.
16-year-old.
Yeah.
We were very tiny and still tiny, but even tinier. And the airbag hit me like in the gut. And then I got like, I guess like a whiplash situation in
Got it.
my upper cervical spine. Left that like pissed myself, totally out of it, obviously in like a major trauma shock,
Mm-hmm.
just bruises. Like there was no severe damage for either of
Wow.
us. Hmm.
Wow.
And so I did the stupidest thing I could ever do at that point. I didn't know any better, and I just went into the 7-Eleven on the corner and like got a Red Bull and like smoked a,
I
yeah, like what
can't
a
even imagine you drinking a Red
dramatic.
Bull right now.
Yeah, just sat on the corner and smoked and had a Red Bull. So then we went home and taxi and like just what I realized later again was I experienced like a post-traumatic
Yeah.
shock for a few days after that, um, but never got checked out, never got like assessed,
You didn't
never
go to the hospital, you didn't get assessed for whiplash or
no
anything,
pyro,
concussion.
no like body scan, nothing, no.
Wow.
So after that accident, I was fine
Yeah.
as far as I could tell.
Yeah.
But the relationship was really tumultuous and um, like obviously caused me a lot of emotional distress.
Yeah.
And I graduated high school and I went to university in Montreal for
Mm-hmm.
my first year with like a girlfriend of mine, like my best girlfriend at the time. And basically just lived like a really unhealthy, first year college lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
in Montreal, like I was working in a bar at the time. There was still smoking in bars at that point. It was like the last few years. I, I can't believe. But just smoking, drinking, eating absolute shit.
Yeah.
The boyfriend of mine was a chef actually, and so I'd never learned to cook like for myself. I just ate absolute shit, and that's when the digestive symptoms, like when I was in
Okay.
the relationship, when I was in Vancouver, I was getting infections, things were happening.
Yeah.
But when I moved to Montreal and I was, living that first year of college life, that's when the gut stuff just and the infections just exploded.
Yeah.
And I was starting to get like quite scared, not
Mm-hmm.
like severely scared, but just like, why is my body not working well?
Hmm.
Um, and I ended up only being there for 1 year of university because the program was not really in alignment, and I had, committed to it more with the intention just to get the hell out of my life in Vancouver
Yeah.
rather than like having a passion for I was studying communications, like film and TV communication. So more
Okay.
on like the production end of film and TV. Um, yeah, so I took a year off and I went to Europe and did some soul searching, and I went back. I ended up at UBC in just like a
Mm-hmm.
general arts degree,
Mm-hmm.
and was again back in that relationship. And
So you'd been with him the whole time, even when you went.
on and off. I
Okay.
mean, there was cheating and like there was so much drama.
Oh God.
It's like a soap opera. If I went into it was another story. But yeah, so it was just up and down.
Okay. So
And
yeah, no, go ahead.
yeah, so I just want to kind of like explain how, yeah, how it kind of progressed, I guess. But when I got back and I was at UBC, but not yet in the theater program, that's when things hit like a point where it was like I was actually not able to like focus on school. Like I
Mm.
was not able to make it through classes because I'd
Yeah.
be like, in the bathroom in total distress. Um, and then I remember someone just telling me, like, all the conventional medicine was not totally unhelpful.
Yeah.
And just saying you have like severe IBS and gaslighting you and as it goes. But someone told me at university somewhere, some professor or like TA or something was like, oh, when I cut out gluten and dairy, like all my issues resolved.
Mm-hmm.
And so at that point, when I did that, I got my like what I felt like my health back.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah.
If
So
only life was that simple.
yeah, I was like, okay, problem solved. Like I just can't do gluten or dairy and I'm fine.
Yeah.
And I got what happened along with that. I don't know the exact order of things, but I also got out of that relationship um, finally for the final time. And I got into around the same time, just prior to that, I got into the acting program at UBC.
Great.
And I was like always obsessed with acting and
Mm-hmm.
story since I was a kid. And um, I would like see them, the like BFA students, through the window when I was like eating my lunch in one of their classrooms. And I was like, what is that program? Like, that's what I want to
Mm-hmm.
be studying here if I'm going to stay at university because um, so far it hadn't been sticking for me.
Did
um,
you end up finishing your 4 years there?
yeah,
Okay, great.
I went through that program. And
Okay.
so when I was in that like community and I felt like I was finally like in belonging in the right place,
Mm-hmm.
doing what I loved, and, being more careful with my diet, my symptoms were resolved pretty much. So I went through that period of time until
Hmm.
the last year there. And that's when things, I mean, there had been so much emotional upheaval just with what was unearthed through that program, like psychosomatically, um,
Mm-hmm.
as well as within that like small group of individuals. It was only 15 of us that went through the
Wow.
program. And so by the end of it, in the last year, like everything's, and I was in another new relationship, which also um, ended up being a saga for
Okay.
me. Um, that went on and off for like about 10 years.
Wow.
So, yeah, so that was about, and it was like now that, I see all the cues that my body was giving me. Granted, I was going through stress at the end of the program, and also I had been living with that partner and my guy best friend in the program, and like eating like a boy diet
Yeah.
again. So my body was like not having that,
Yeah.
but it was definitely both, it's
Yeah.
not, um, yeah, so that
S-
sort of takes us up until graduating college.
So I remember, you know, I remember seeing, I think I remember either hearing from just our circle of friends, Sarah has Lyme or something. It was like Sarah has Lyme. I feel like back then, and still now, even people I talk to, one of my best friends is like, no, no, you don't have Lyme. Like, it's way more common, I think, than people really realize. Oh, when did you get bit by a tick? Were you hiking?
Oh
Were
yeah,
you, and it's like, what
totally.
were you
Totally.
doing? You don't live on the East Coast. It was like, I just actually like have to stop myself from being like, I literally am like, you don't need to be hiking. You don't need to live on the East Coast. Like, spiders can also carry bacteria,
Get it?
mosquitoes, you know?
Utero, you can get it sexually transmitted. Like it,
Yes. But there are some people who just have a block. And I remember hearing that you had been diagnosed with Lyme or that you were living with Lyme. And I was like, God, what, how did she get the same thing? How did she get that? And then I saw your GoFundMe.
Mhm.
Um, in your experience, I want to get to the treatments that you've done and all of
Hmm.
that stuff. But in your experience, getting that diagnosis, and I know it's not just Lyme, can you chat about what it felt like to finally get some of your diagnoses?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I mean, I was on a
yeah,
search for like over like 15 years, 15
yeah,
years. Because like, and I'll definitely nutshell it, but basically, since graduating college,
yeah.
there was like a decade where I was in and out of that relationship, mostly in it, um, where I was trying to be an actress
Mm-hmm.
and trying to stay afloat financially, um, and mentally and emotionally, in a really, uh, a hard industry and in a relationship that was very toxic for me.
Mm-hmm.
That I was not a victim. Like, I want to. It's hard when when you put labels like narcissistic abuse or like other relationship titles, of abuse. Like, I want to draw light to that because um, I want to make sure that it's understood that illness doesn't just like come from a tick biting you, even though it also does, like
Yeah, yeah,
the body, like, yeah, the body has ways that it slowly breaks down, and our bodies are so powerful as well and so resilient. And so the reason that I want to even just mention the dynamics that I was a willing participant in is because um, you know, the what I the wounds that we carry from our childhood, which many of us are well aware of, um, if they don't get dealt with later on and they get carried into these relationships, your system can only handle so much, like
mm-hmm.
I really believe that if I had been in different environments,
Yeah,
physically, like with the old houses and mold and stuff, and emotionally, um, and I had, been exposed to Lyme or other pathogens or whatever, I really believe that my body could fight it off.
yeah.
And I really believe that, like most people on the planet are carrying various types of uh, plethora of different pathogens
I
that they're fighting off. And this is like also why I mention it is because um, there's, even like my ex, he was tested and he also was positive
hmm,
for, but did not have the physical challenges that I had. But
yeah.
just tangent it back. Um, so you're asking me,
I wanted to know what it felt like. I wanted to know what, because so many people, and I
okay,
think
yes, you want to know
hopefully our listeners, I mean, not hopefully, I don't want
the
hopefully our
diagnosis.
listeners aren't dealing with any illness, but, uh, we've all been down that rabbit hole of many diagnoses.
Yeah,
And I remember even reaching out to you. I mean, you're so full of knowledge and you are just like I could talk to you forever because of what you've been through. I remember reaching out to you saying, I think I have Lyme. And you were like, just take minerals, get in the sun, like set your
right.
circadian rhythm. And I was like,
Yeah.
I was like, bitch, I can't even get out of bed. I was like, what do you mean get in the
Yeah.
sun? I was like, I'm losing movement in my legs and,
Yeah. Exactly.
you
Yeah. No,
know,
that's
and
the thing.
still
Is like,
searching, still searching, searching,
right.
searching. And when you
Yeah.
are in, can you put yourself back in that place of searching
Yeah.
and what that also led you to?
Okay. So I think that's why forgive me. I'm also just so we are aware, not that I want to draw attention to it, but I'm also dealing with EMF sensitivity from
Totally.
my illness. So when I'm working with devices, I'm able to do it now, and I thankfully have a wired connection. But
Yeah,
I my mind sometimes is not as clear as when I'm not dealing with
I understand.
non-native
Take your time and tangent away. You're like a poet. Every time I hear you speak, I'm like,
Where are
I
we?
just,
No,
no, no,
thank you.
no, no. I'm
No,
so
okay,
like,
but okay, so yeah, I was on a search,
yeah,
find what was wrong with me, absolutely. But and I was on a search to be a, be a performer, be
yes.
an actress, a writer, a creative storyteller. But I was I was on a deeper sort of search that I was unaware of, like my unconscious self was on like a deep like shadow journey through my relationships. And I was so deep in the like the codependent patterning and the wounding from my early years that I like that was the priority, even if
Mm,
it wasn't conscious.
mm,
That was the underlying priority. So it wasn't like it was, and I was so hyper focused on um, wanting to fix or save others. Like even though my own health was like plummeting, I wasn't um I wasn't paying nearly like enough attention to my own body's needs.
mm.
So that's why I feel like my health had to get hit so hard by this disease, this diagnosis was because it was like, wake the fuck up. Like
Yeah.
I'm screaming at you. So that said, like so I basically managed jobs and my life for a very long time in a state of chaos.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like I'm talking, where you understand, like you have to be on set at like, I was even doing like background work stand and have to be at set like 6 a.m., 7 a.m. I would have to wake up like 7, 8 hours before I had to be out the door a
Wow.
lot of the time to basically deal with my intestinal insanity, like multiple enemas, like
Yeah.
just put in function. And it um wasn't just intestinal, like it was very much neurological, which I didn't
Mm,
realize. Like, why can't I just deal? It's not like, oh, my tummy hurts. It's like something is wired incorrectly,
yeah.
like through my entire body. When
Yeah.
I would go to the bathroom, my brain would do crazy things, my vision, my heart, like lymphatic system, like everything was just like, and this crazy debilitating pain through the back of my skull. So it got worse and worse and worse to the point where it was like, just fetal position, bawling. And then I'd have to like pick myself up and like just book it through the city, driving like a maniac to like maintain um, a job. And maybe,
Can I ask you really quick because I don't even know if we've talked about this. One of my biggest symptoms was the pain in the back of the skull.
mhm.
What, in your opinion, is that? Is it
It's
like I'm still dealing with it now. I have a hard time lying on a pillow. I get vestibular migraine and I'm in your circumstance. What do you think that was?
for me. Um,
Mhm.
and I know that like neck pain in general is like a very common Lyme and co-infection symptom.
Mhm.
we could go into like the psycho-spiritual aspect, but I think like for me, it's like been very clear through plant medicine journeys and whatnot. Like I had this accident where I got hit
Mm.
in the gut and I got hit from the whiplash.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I basically fragmented my brain to gut axis and my spinal like
Yeah.
connection. And it
Mm-hmm.
created like complete incoherence in the way that my brain and my organs communicate.
Yep.
And I'm still dealing with that to some extent, but thankfully, thank God, the debilitating pain in the back of my skull um, ceased finally. But yeah, I would be in like partial paralysis later on, post 2020, when things went really downhill neurologically, I would be in like a partial paralysis half of the day, every
Yeah.
day.
Yeah.
Um,
It's
so that, yeah, so I got the diagnosis at the beginning of 2020.
mm-hmm.
And actually, it came to me in a vision before I even knew about Lyme disease or
Mm.
like really even knew what a tick looked like. I had this vision of being bit by an insect. And I
Wow.
wasn't dreaming. I was actually I was actually in one of like the episodes of my distress and I was doing an enema and I had like crazy visions of like a bite and then of like these robotic spiders like leaving my body, super creepy. And
Wow.
and then of mold, like this sort of like puffy mold thing growing. And I was
This
like,
was during an enema? Like you weren't even on mushrooms or anything. This was just like, were
no,
you
this is
doing a
why when
coffee
people tell
enema?
me, I'm like, girl, I'm just trying to get sober. Like my whole life, I'm just trying to get sober. But yeah, it was. I would have. That's what like I started, figuring out about colonics and enemas like as a way to manage my symptoms because I was
Yes.
using all these herbal laxatives. I was using tons of magnesium, doing everything you could name with diet and
Yeah.
lifestyle.
Yeah.
And then I started doing coffee enemas like religiously, which was a bad idea because I didn't know how much they deplete your minerals when you're
Mm.
chronically demineralized and your electrolytes are all fucked up because of your gut.
Yeah.
So, but I started getting these visions.
Back to the robotic spiders.
Yeah. And I would have the visions while I was holding the enema was like these things leaving my body, like trying to leave my body. Because it would have this huge like liver dump, right? When you get
Yes.
the ion release from the coffee enema, which is why people do them for detox. Um, and so, and even like visions of my childhood, like crazy like connections of like my present self meeting my child self, like wild stuff. Anyway, I after I had that vision about the bite, I was on Instagram and I saw this girl sharing her journey, sharing her diagnosis from like basically Lyme and like 7 different co-infections.
Mm.
And she was describing her daily life and her pain and her symptoms, and I was like, holy shit. Like it was the first time when I was like, I have this.
Mm.
Like this is what's happening to me.
Mm.
And um and around that exact same time, probably just before that, um, I was dating somebody and he he's the one that mentioned like, oh, I think there's some mold around your bathtub. He's a contractor and like he was like, I think could be black mold. Like it could be dangerous. Like you need to have it looked at. And then later I found out like actually the whole building had had a leak like 12 years ago and it had gone from the roof. I was on the first floor. It had gone all the way through.
Oh my God.
And this was one of those like,
Oh my God.
yeah, this is one of those unicorn buildings in Kitsilano that was like crazy cheap rent. Like I had
Yeah.
like a and was like nothing. And everyone in the building was like so hyped and had been there forever, and like no real management or landlord or anything. So obviously, I found out my building was incredibly toxic, and before I even tested it or had that confirmed, like my symptoms and my psyche just hit a breaking point one day where
Hmm.
it was just like, get the fuck out.
Hmm.
Like, you can't sleep here one more night.
Hmm.
And of course, everyone thought I was absolutely mad. Like my family, my partner, like I was
Like
just,
even I remember even talking to you about it, and I remember and it's so hard because I think when you're first going through something and you don't even have the capacity to walk or get or bathe yourself or anything, and someone's like, you cannot live in mold, it will make your symptoms worse. It's not like there was any fear mongering at all, but I think uh, it's like you must have felt so overwhelmed. It's so overwhelming.
mhm.
You must have just felt so overwhelmed. And so where did you go? Where did you go?
Well, that's the thing is like I went, I just went from moldy place to moldy place. Like
Right.
I went to a friend's parents' place that I could house sit because they were out of town.
Mm-hmm.
But even though that place wasn't good for me either, I think there is something about like getting out of the environment of like the most trauma.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that like when I learned as and did the whole deep dive on like really what sick building syndrome is and recognized that in Vancouver 70-80% of the houses are probably very unhealthy for even the average person. um I realized that probably my whole life I'd been living in moldy buildings, and I my whole life probably had genetics that didn't deal very well with that,
Yeah.
because there's a percentage of the population that has these genetics that get turned on
Yeah.
life circumstances and environments that make it harder for you to detoxify the the poison aspects of mold spores.
Can I
But
ask, so because there's so much I want to ask you. Um, okay, so you got your
so
diagnosis.
so yeah, so the mold, like after I fled that place,
Yeah.
I got tested for mold, very, very high levels of
Yeah.
mold in my system, very high levels of mold in my place. Um, and I got tested for Lyme soon after that.
Mm-hmm.
But I already knew.
Mm-hmm.
Once I saw that woman's post, and once I got that vision and then put it together, because the vision was before the post.
Mm-hmm.
And then I looked up what a tick looked like, and then that was like spitting image. And I'd never even seen one. And so,
Wow.
yeah, and so like I remember my father came with me when I got diagnosed with Lyme, and he was just sort of like sitting there in shock, and I was just like, what did and also my partner at the time, gaslit me pretty hard and like didn't believe the diagnosis at all, even when he tested positive for it as well, because the naturopath wanted to test, him too, and it was like I was like sort of just blown away, and I was like, what did you guys think was happening to me this whole time?
Mm.
Like you
Mm-hmm.
think I was just like, I don't know, just like they really had a whole narrative in their head about how I just didn't want to work hard.
I think
Um,
also too, having because you had been, at
I
least I know for me, yeah, like chronically sick or had always dealt with things or being sensitive souls, being
mhm,
like, I don't like the energy around me or the people around me or, having tummy troubles.
right,
Like, people are just so like, oh, that's just Shan or like, or like, and then I'm like, I'm like, no, 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 something seriously, seriously wrong.
right. Well,
Um,
being the canaries in the coal mine in
yeah,
this society
yeah,
is a certain cross to bear.
Yeah.
And it does really, you know, push people to confront their own fears
Yeah.
of their own mortality. And, um, you can have, like we see in society, like we've seen in society, especially for the past 5 years, like you can have cognitive dissonance for certain things and around certain things if you're not affected in a certain way.
Yeah.
And as soon as your privilege gets revoked or you fall from some sort of comfort, then we have to hit different levels of ego death. And so yeah, like the diagnosis, um it was I thought it was going to be a relief, A, because
Yeah.
it was going to give me a path
Yeah.
to health and well-being, and B, because it was going to validate what I'd been experiencing for all these years
Mm-hmm.
and show the people in my life like this is real.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm suffering like
Yeah.
profoundly and I need help.
Yeah.
But it didn't do either of those things at all.
Isn't that wild?
At all. It actually probably made it worse because the confrontation of the diagnosis pushed the people into my life and into more resistance and into more cognitive dissonance and into more projection, and the diagnosis itself pushed me into more fight or flight and fear,
Yeah.
um, more vulnerable to these sort of medical predators and as well
Yes.
as holistic medical predators that exist.
Yes. I
And
mean,
you're,
I don't know if there's like a ton of time left. I wanted to maybe touch on your time in Mexico at speaking of medical predators. Not that ever, not that
yeah,
those Lyme
yeah,
clinics are, but
yeah.
I know you did a GoFundMe for your, and then you went to Mexico. And I know even just speaking, when we're hanging out, that you were saying it was probably added to more trauma.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I thought I'd experienced a lot before going to that clinic and going to Mexico. And that was definitely the catharsis of like the most trauma condensed into a period of time that I'd
How long were
experienced.
you there for?
I was in Mexico for a year and a half.
Whoa, that
Mm.
long.
But I was at Lyme, Mexico only for like 4 months.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, I know you've tried a million things.
Yeah.
You are in a different place now than you were. It's taken you 5 years, would you say? The better part of 5 years,
Yeah.
almost.
Yeah.
What would you say? One, what would you say to your younger self or anyone experiencing something like this? What advice would you give them? And actually, before that, let's talk about what has been the biggest game changer for you. I
Okay.
know it's never just one thing, and I've heard from a million people. And even when I think about what has helped me, it is never one thing.
Hmm.
Um, but you talked about coffee enemas and other IVs that you've done and all the things. But what has been the biggest game changer for you? Controversial or not?
Yeah. So Lyme, Mexico, like when I did that, I went very much against my belief system because
Mm-hmm.
they're primarily like they are holistic, and I'm not gonna sit here and like just shit talk them through and
No,
through because
no.
they do help people. Excuse me, they do help people. Like there are people that I've experienced that I've met there that have been greatly helped.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it is holistic, as I said, like they do like ozone and they do hyperbaric and they do like different forms of like extreme treatments that you can't get the same kind of access to necessarily in Canada or even
Mm-hmm.
the US, in that like sort of concentration, but it was primarily focused on IV antibiotics.
Yeah.
And I was doing IV antibiotics there 3 times a day, 6 days a week, um, for months. Yeah. And so I can't talk about the game changer without first talking about like what sort of flatlined me,
Yeah.
along with the trauma there that included like an earthquake, like quite a severe earthquake, and like
Right.
flooding apartment and really, really crooked, abusive landlords, and more mold exposures, obviously, and lots of interpersonal challenges.
Mm-hmm.
But the antibiotic treatment really, yeah, was against everything that I believed in. And I think I went to Lyme, Mexico because I just wanted to get out of Vancouver. I wanted to get out of like the trauma zone. I
Mm-hmm.
had gotten into a safe apartment in Vancouver, but I was in crazy amounts of pain with that skull nerve thing in my brain. Um, and my family, my father was willing to like fund this expedition.
Mm.
And my uncle was going to too, but that later didn't happen. But yeah, there was so much that happened within that like process, and obviously I'm so grateful for everybody that like gave to my GoFundMe and enabled me
Mm-hmm.
treatment. Like just to even have like any community support when you feel
Yeah.
like you've literally lost like every person that claims to care about you. It was really moving and also very humbling. And also like I still carry a lot of like guilt and shame, but trying to let that go. But yeah, so the treatment itself was just really too much for my body.
Yeah.
I think like my firm belief now is that terrain theory over pathogen theory. Like we're not trying to wipe out every organism in the body.
Mm.
Obviously, like we're trying to support, like traditional Chinese medicine believes, to support the organ systems,
Yeah.
support the natural, like circadian biology, which I'm really into now, like support your body's natural light cycle, which is like arguably more important than even your food, your nutrients
Mm.
that you eat is like the light informs our biological processes and all our hormones.
Mm-hmm.
And so just focusing on like what I'd been told, which was kill, kill, kill the bad stuff,
Yeah.
which is also very like this like colonial mindset, which is like draws a lot of parallels to the way that we live in our world. Um, and I'd been studying bee venom therapy, thinking I was going to pursue that before going to
Yeah.
Lyme, Mexico. And that was also like, even though it is holistic, and I do believe bee venom therapy is incredibly powerful healing modality that has helped so many people with Lyme disease
Mm-hmm.
and other ailments. Um, it's also very focused on killing. And I think obviously there's a lot of nuance there because it is important to like, you know, get your like pathogen load down so your
Yeah.
body can like fortify and like you can actually get a hold on your nervous system and your organ function.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I went through that and I got to a place of like where I actually feel like my spirit was like drained from my body. Like I don't think I recognized my own personality. Um, it was really, really dark.
Yeah.
Um, and it going through that alone too, like majority went through that alone, and just walking out of there at like 10, 11 p.m. at night, like seriously looking and feeling like Uma Thurman in Pulp Fiction after the heroin overdose, like covered in blood, like bags under my eyes, like 90 pounds, like just fucked.
Yeah.
um I was at like a rock bottom and also in chaos with a living situation in Mexico and very much resistant to wanting to come home back to
Mm,
like cold, damp
yeah.
winter climate and like really nothing to come home to, like
Yeah.
no community, no job, no, yeah. Um, so I had my buddy come to Mexico when I was like just starting to like be able to barely function again. And he came with his partner and um he's he's been a big like influence in my healing journey. 'Cause yeah, we met at the beginning of 2020 and he yeah, he's been through it with his own like environmental illness
Okay.
stuff. And basically like we just like those people you meet and you're like I know you from a past life or like you're like my
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and we have this very like kind of guerrilla warfare like fire sign um gusto like we just really motivate each other to like which maybe is like an ultra independence like survival response but it's
Yeah.
very much like we're going to save our own lives and so
Yeah.
he's been deep diving like the health world for a very long time. He taught me a lot of the things that I knew like that I learned initially and was a big saving grace for me when I felt like completely out to sea without any tether to community or like
Yeah.
and so anyway he came into Mexico so he was going to travel with his partner and wanted to come visit me and like check in on me see how I was doing
Good.
um and he mentioned this Facebook group that he had just been a part of focusing on urine therapy and basically on how there's like this son and his mother started this group and he was dying from Lyme and within 60 days like completely recovered his health from urine therapy,
Wow.
which is like an ancient Ayurvedic.
I
Yeah.
know every time you tell me about it, I'm like, it doesn't resonate. And then you're like, but why? Like it has to resonate with you. And also, like, what are the harms? What is the harm? And like watching you heal
Mm-hmm.
by strictly, I know you do other things, but all of those really intense things have fallen to the wayside. And this is
Oh yeah.
like, this
Yeah.
is,
So that basically, I mean, it took time, like I said. So
yeah,
I was, what the fucking hell? Like I've done everything else
yeah.
except for drink my own piss. And at this point, like that's the least, like the suffering that I've been through, like physically and emotionally and psychologically, like that was really, it was not a fear of anything to do with urine therapy. It was just
Hmm.
like, um, also like it's free. You've like spent your entire, all your money, all your family's money, like,
Yeah.
and it's like this will to live is like gratefully, like the will to live is very strong in me. And
Can
it's
you,
nice that I haven't dealt with like suicidal ideation like over and over through this.
yeah.
I don't think it shouldn't be taboo because it's like every single person with this illness, you you have many, 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 many days like that.
I
But
mean, it's so there's like I would always tell people, I would tell my sister like I want to die, like I want, but it's like, and then I would have to because she's like, well, we need to like commit you or get, not that she said that, she's like, we need to get you some serious help. I was like, listen, it's not like I want to die. It's just re- I need some reprieve. I
yeah,
need to, I
peace.
don't want, I need some peace to not be in pain. It's not like I don't want to be on this planet. I have dreams and I want to live my life. And especially, I think, you know, being in a healthy body, what I thought was healthy, but, we can go down that road later.
Right.
At least functioning, but
Functioning, functioning.
being a fitness teacher, being able to show up on set and chase my dreams, to having that comparison is really tough.
Yeah.
Being like, well, I know what I used to feel like. And so now, but yeah, so I hear you about the suicidal ideation. Now, can you, we've got 5 more minutes here, but can you kind of, we've really lightly touched on urine therapy, but can you kind of explain how it works or debunk some of the myths behind it?
Um, yeah, I mean, it just works by drinking your own piss. But what it's doing actually is not a waste product. It's um, like a plethora of stem cells, neurotransmitters, um, minerals. Basically, you're refeeding your body what it's like a map. Like I explained it like to you like a
Hmm.
homeopathic map. Like everything that you're in it, you have in excess, and everything you have in deficiency, like it's informing your body of that.
Hmm.
And your body is adjusting real time based on like continued consumption.
Hmm.
I never went as hardcore as like that that woman and her son, for
Yeah.
example, field. Like they're talking about drinking 5 ounces of your midstream urine every time you like every void. And so that what that does is the same thing that like bee venom therapy will do, or um, any sort of killing protocol will do. Like
Hmm.
it'll kill things off fast, and your
Hmm.
body and your organ systems like have to be functioning to support that amount of detoxification and die off.
Hmm.
As like anyone with Lyme or any sort of serious illness will tell you, like, but especially with Lyme and co-infections, is like your the killing off of what you're dealing with is almost worse than the illness itself. Like
Yeah.
it releases so much into your body, into an already overwhelmed body.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just involves there's like we could probably do a whole other podcast on urine
Yeah.
therapy.
Let's do it. Let's do it. I need
But
to have you on again.
like within like it took time. It took like a year or 6 months to a year to really start to see like progress. But I noticed after, like, first of all, I hadn't gotten my cycle in over a year. And when I started doing urine therapy, within 2 weeks, I got my cycle back right on time. And it's been
Wow.
ever since. And it'd been like, I'd been very underweight. I was like very, very depleted. And I was like, I'd gotten another really horrific infection, a cellulitis infection before I left Mexico, where I had to do another round of IV antibiotics and had like a giant growth on my neck for like it took like a year to heal. But I was basically doing urine therapy consistently before that, and then after that, since I got off those antibiotics, and within 6 months to a year, back in Vancouver, um, I I stopped having like the terrible neurological reactions that I'd been having.
Yeah.
The partial paralysis, the like having no spatial orientation, like feeling like a Picasso, like I would be back in my body again. And it was like incredible. And I'm like, there's literally nothing else I've been doing. I was doing one kind of like very gentle chiropractic realignment um,
Hmm.
called spinal, a network spinal. And
Hmm.
also credit to saving a lot of my life because my cerebral cervical spine, it wouldn't stay into place, and it was like every time I would sleep or go horizontal it would slip out, and I would go into like a total neurological attack. And until it wasn't until the urine therapy and until I stopped cracking my body back into manipulation, and I just started like doing really really gentle spinal network movements, um, my body started to really, really heal. Yeah.
I mean, you're like every time you talk about it, you sell me on it. And then like I remember I tried it once and then I felt like it actually like listen, I'm actually not grossed out by drinking urine. I think there's so much fear for me.
Hmm.
Fear that it's going to make me worse.
Hmm.
Fear that there's fear. There's just fear still. And I mean, it's free. I
That's
think,
the
you
major
know,
selling point is it's free.
it's free.
And
And I think
it
you can
makes so much.
stop whenever you want.
Yeah. And that's what I would suggest to anyone is go really slow. Like
Yeah.
anything I wish
Yeah.
I did. I went so hard for so much of my life
Yeah.
and pushed my body and then it broke.
Yeah.
And then I tried to push it into health and vitality by hammering it with treatments. And the subtle body, the energy body, it's a real thing, the emotional body, and our physical being. Like I always say like I'm a challenging juxtaposition because I'm like an incredibly sensitive soul,
Mm-hmm.
incredibly sensitive, or like maybe not soul, incredibly sensitive. Like I have very sensitivity in my energy being,
Mm-hmm.
but then I have this like personality that's like very fiery in certain
Totally.
ways. And yeah, they're at odds. And so I had to really meet that and be like, okay, like you need to be way gentler with yourself.
Yeah.
Um, and even though this society has always said like, or, other parents or partners' words in my ears saying like, oh, you've always been too soft for that. You need to harden yourself, or you need to like toughen yourself, or you're too soft for this, you're too sensitive for this world. It's like, no, this world is sick
Mm-hmm.
and we're all sick because of it.
Mm-hmm.
And until we change within ourselves, like nothing else is going to ever shift. So,
And I always say this too. I'm like, I challenge anyone in our lives to be in our bodies for 5 minutes when
never,
we are experiencing the height of the pain.
no, that they're not
We're
on.
too sensitive for this world. I think it's like I don't even think they would collapse within 30 seconds.
I know, I know that like, I can't really say this. It's not fair because I'm a childless woman, but like, I feel like my friends who've gone through like birth and labors, they're like, how can you relate and like to motherhood? Like how do you know what I'm going through? And I'm like,
Yeah, totally.
chronic illness, Lyme, like
Totally.
yeah, like take
Totally.
you to so much ego death in a similar way, perhaps,
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I really would press you and anyone to at least research or investigate
Yeah.
urine therapy. I definitely didn't ever don't desire to be the poster girl for Lyme, mold, or urine therapy. um, of all the things. And I have other plans for myself in this life. So there's that. But I can't not share
Yeah.
what took me out of absolute insufferable hell and what could help somebody else.
Yeah.
Especially anything that's like a big fuck you to the conventional medical system,
Hmm.
which I will take down one day if it kills me.
You have big plans.
Yeah, big
Well,
plans, little by little, one person at a time. But yeah,
well,
I think
thank
it's
you.
like I said, you can even like literally take drops of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
It's still going to inform your body important information that it
Yeah.
needs. Mm,
I think, I'm better. I think my terrain actually is better equipped right now than when I first tried it.
mm.
At least my nervous system is in a better place where I think if I did end up herxing or something, that I'm in a better place to know that I've been through worse and that it won't get worse. And that, you know what I mean? Like
I think that's important.
yeah, you
I
know?
I did start it when I was really dysregulated, like I said, in Mexico, and it was really hard at first.
Yeah.
Too
Yeah.
much. So,
Well, okay. Some really quick rapid fire gut feelings.
okay.
If you were to choose Sweet or salty snack preference?
Um, I had a sweet tooth like my whole life. I always went with sweet, but now I don't crave sweet as much anymore.
Okay. So are you
Yeah,
salty? Are you saying salty?
savory. I don't know. I like fruit, so I like sweet, I guess.
Okay. Okay. What's your go-to comfort food when your tummy hurts?
Um, I usually do bone broth, but I got pretty sick of it, so I do like a gelatin. Like I do a gelatin like in a hot drink though, in like a matcha or something.
Oh.
Like it, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to pick your brain on that later.
Okay.
Most chaotic thing you've done in the name of gut health?
Oh my God. All of girl, the stories I could tell. No, like I've just done, back to back colonics, like literally had ordered a Mexican colonic machine, had it hooked up in this random Mexican doctor's place. He's like in his 70s, total piece of shit asshole. And had like, I mean, you wouldn't understand when I say I had like 4-hour colonic sessions. It seems like insane, but literally when your brain and your intestines are not communicating to each other
Yeah.
and you're like you've been fed tons of antibiotics and basically you're like all these things inside you are dying and you actually feel like you're dying, you need to get the junk out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so yeah,
Okay.
I came home from that to a flooded apartment at like
Perfect.
night. Yeah.
Perfect. One food your tummy hates, but your soul loves.
Um, I was raised as like a Montreal Jewish girl. I was raised on like, bagels and cream cheese and lox and like
Yum.
noodles and cottage cheese, like all the like cheese and bread.
But you eat dairy now.
I can eat raw dairy, like
Yes.
raw grasso dairy. I can eat a little.
Yes. Yes. Okay. What makes your tummy hurt emotionally?
Just like energy vampires, like people with bad vibes.
And what heals it?
Still trying to find that out.
Jury's
um,
still out on that.
I think like I think like a lot of it is about boundaries, like
Mm-hmm.
having I didn't have boundaries and just like maintaining my boundaries energetically and emotionally and physically.
Mm-hmm.
Also like giving myself lots of space and time to digest emotionally and energetically. And yeah, like warming, just like physically, physiologically, like warming foods are very healing versus cold. Yeah.
For sure.
Mhm.
Amazing, Sarah. Thank you. Can you tell everyone where we can find you on social media or
Yeah.
our email or
Yeah, I have a social media account that I haven't been using. It's Sarah Corey, SarahKori. That's my Instagram. Um, I am just going to be launching like a health sovereignty business. So
amazing?
basically, like my concept is to help people. Like, I don't want to be a health coach because I want to empower people to basically not need me. So I want people to, learn and I want to work with people one on one because I feel like there's not enough of that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a lot of like online workshops, and I
Yeah,
really do believe people are individual, and even that like connection with someone is healing in itself. So I want to be able to really like assess each person personally, but
hmm
then give them the tools and empower them to be their own, you know, doctor, be their own healer, be their own most vital self, because it's everything,
yeah.
and we don't know until we lose it, but
Wow.
we get there. Yeah.
I'm
So
so grateful for you. You are like, I'm having you back a million times over. I feel like we could all learn from you. So thank you so much for coming
thanks, Shan.
and having the convo. Okay, guys. Hope you enjoyed the episode and we'll see you next week.